All right, ladies and gentlemen, what is going on? This is Blaise over here, another episode of Overtime with the Blue Chip Athletic Club podcast as we cool down here from a workout in the pool. Just going to hit you with another 5 or 10 minute quick hitter today as we get going for my post-workout soapbox. Today's episode, we're going to chat a little bit about, the difference between working out and training. I think, when I really began running and trying to improve, all because I was training for a high rocks race, not because I enjoy running, I really started to listen to people that are really experienced runners. I've got a friend, shout out to Miguel Moroles, fellow pilot, who he's actually a pretty gifted runner. He was pretty close to qualifying for the Boston Marathon, which for anybody who doesn't know is running like a 7 and change minute mile for an entire marathon, which is absolutely absurdly fast. But talking to him and then speaking even with, some other people that are more like hobby runners, as well as listening to podcasts of, some of the best runners ever, Kipchoge, all these people, you start to realize that you don't necessarily need to, run more volume or even faster with every run, but you need to train. And what do I mean by that? Kipchoge is a great example. He decides that he's going to go out and do a run. His coach, or maybe he programs for himself, I doubt it, but his coach programs we're going to do, a slow cadence run. Maybe for him, slow is about everybody else's sprint. And they're going to focus on heart rate that day. So let's say they're looking for, a zone 2 style of run, which I think is probably a buzzword term for most people, but let's say something that you could hold a conversation and continue to run with, I guess is generally accepted as a zone 2 run. So he goes out and he does this run, and other people hear that Kipchoge is going to go train, and their ego most likely gets in the way, and they're like, yep, I'm going to blow by Kipchoge, and people will do that on that day. And he's so disciplined in his training program and what he does that he doesn't care. He's doing his run that was programmed for him, that he discussed with his coach to help him kind of move towards his goals, so that on race day, when it's time to perform, he's ready to do that and is the fastest person, on the face of planet Earth as of now, in that marathon distance. So, I think there's a lot of people that are getting wrapped around the axle, probably under recovering, overtraining in a way, or just really not training with a purpose. And this is me too, I'd say probably 5 or 10 years ago, I would go in the gym and I'd be the guy who walks in, I maybe do about 4 seconds of stretching, and then I pop over to the flat bench and I do the bar, and I do 10 reps, and then I load up a 45-pound plate on either side of the barbell, and I'll do another 10 reps, and then I'm loading in 185 and then trying to get up 225. And essentially once I finish that, I'm like, well, what do I do next? Do I, do some tricep extensions? Do I, do some bicep curls, whatever is happening. And I noticed that, like, sure, did I get stronger? Sure. I think anybody who's training compound lifts in and around the age, men especially in and around the age of 20, you're going to end up getting stronger just by default. Are you doing it the right way? And are you really optimizing your results, is the question that I would ask. And for the most part, overtraining and under recovering, hitting the same 3 moves, a chest day, we'll call it a back day, and a leg day, is not necessarily the way that you'll continue to see doing the same exact 4 moves, doing the same exact, training program every single day, maxing out every single day, and not having that battle rhythm, that cadence, really focusing on your rest and recovery, focusing on, sticking to your training program super, super strictly. And I think, when I started training for this High Rocks event, I figured out, I'm going to write a hybrid athlete program. And I think that's like a buzzword here in the year 2025, hybrid athlete, it's average lifter, shitty runner is essentially what it is. Shout out to Matt Sattel for that one. But you're basically trying to optimize, keep as much strength on as you can, and then be fast. And the real way to improve at that race is to run faster. And when I started training for that, I realized, it's not about, how fast I can run for that little distance that I did in that day, how fast is my mile or whatever that is. It's like, hey, how can I train my aerobic and anaerobic system so that I can recover when I need to and then push the pace when I need to, and find my ways throughout what I'll call the gear system of breath, which I'm going to butcher the podcast that I kind of listened to and then modeled the newest program that we kind of are building / beta testing / pre deploying, I guess, which is our Couch to 5K, which basically takes somebody who has never ran, pushes you through a 30-day program that gets you to be able to walk / run a 5K at the end, kind of meeting you with your ability level based solely on the way that you're breathing. So we're trying to take, principles from marathon distance runners, principles from, we'll call hybrid athletes, principles from, everyday former athletes, and we're putting it and batching it in a way that helps you move towards your goals. Now, I'll be the first to say, men between the ages of 20 and 35 don't love taking advice from another person in the gym, myself included. Somebody comes over and tries to tell you how to deadlift, and you're probably going to tell them to fuck off. But the reality is that in my last, 5-ish years of training, I think having a coach has just been so beneficial. They're going to see things that you can't see. They're going to be your eyes and ears. They're going to be able to see when you're not pushing yourself or when you're able to kind of move the needle. They're going to be able to hold you accountable to a line. They're going to be able to find, technique errors, find ways that you can improve, tell you when to rest, and recover as well. Shout out to my coaches, Bean and Heather over the years, and then Brett as well. Like, just being able to sit back and realize that some days your body needs to take a tick, and then also like the crucial role that things like nutrition, sleep, and then really I'll call pointed training. So if you're somebody who's walking into the weight rack, you're racking your 135, you're moving through and you're not making the progress that you want to make. You're not getting stronger, you're not getting bigger, you're not getting faster, you're not looking better naked in the mirror, whatever that thing is happening that's going on. Send us a message, tell us what you're struggling with. We most likely have a tool, a coaching aid, something that we can help plug in so that you can continue to make progress along the way. And I realize, we're not going to be able to coach everybody. One, I can never do that. And two, I'm probably not the best fit for every single person. But if you're sitting there and you're like, man, I don't know what is missing. Why am I continually putting weight on? Why am I continually, not improving in the gym? Why do I not have my clothes fit better? Why is my confidence down? Why are these other facets of my life suffering? We may be somebody that can help you or at least point you in the right direction. So that's it for this episode of Overtime. Hope you guys enjoyed it. And just remember, you don't stop playing because you get old. You get old because you stop playing. Peace.